Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where for the last 6 days, I've been living with this 2026 Acura Integra A-Spec in California. We're currently in Calabasas, and well, you can tell that I've been living with this because of how filthy it is. It's been raining here in California some. We were up in the canyons yesterday. We pulled into a muddy parking lot, and I haven't washed it because I wanted to show it's not battle wounds, but I wanted to show that I have genuinely been living with this. I've put almost 500 miles on this car this week, and I thought today I would take you along on what I'm doing. So as I said, we're currently in Calabasas, and I want to drive to Malibu to the new Kith location that I have not yet been to. Kith is one of my favorite clothing brands, and I've only been to their stores in West Hollywood, and what other one have I been to? Geez, I think I've only been to the West Hollywood one. So I want to check out the Malibu location and see what that's all about, but we're going to make a couple of other stops along the way. But the cool thing about going from Calabasas to Malibu is you take a bit of a canyon road. So we'll be able to see what this is like around some twisties. If you guys saw my initial road trip video on this car, you'll know that we had a little bit of a buzzkill with the canyon road section. So I hope today we'll be able to open this up, but if not, it's okay. We'll have more content on this Integra going forward, and especially over on the Winding Road Magazine YouTube channel, you'll be able to see some performance driving if we don't quite get to it today. But anyway, let's talk about what we have here in front of us. Now, as I said, this is a 26. It got a bit of a facelift, and the most apparent part of the facelift is the color-matched grille. And I know that this is a little bit of a controversial change that they've made to the Integra, but luckily they'll let you get a dealer accessory black grille if you're not vibing with the color match that they give you on the double Apex blue, which is what we have here, or the red color, which I still don't know the name of. But I absolutely love this double Apex blue. This is a new color for 26 as well. We first saw this on the ZDX, but Acura killed the ZDX already. So if you want double Apex blue, have yourself a 26 Integra. But they've done a couple other things to the outside as well. It's got a new lip kit here. See the side skirts, and then it's got these little bumper extensions on the front as well. And then inside there are a couple of changes, but mechanically this is still the same as it's been since it came out. So it still has the turbocharged 1.5 liter inline 4 with 200 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque. This particular car has the 6-speed manual transmission, which means it has the helical front limited slip differential. And obviously, it's front-wheel drive. Think Civic Si, but a bit more luxurious, which is why I like this car so much and why I elected to be driving it all week while I'm in California. It's comfortable, it's got a good sound system, and it's been getting, over the last 500 miles, about 35 mpg. And since I filled it up last, which was only about 100 miles ago, it's been getting close to 40. Now, the EPA rates this at 36 highway, and yes, I have been doing lots of highway driving, but I think it's impressive with kind of all the other stuff we've been doing that this has been able to still be so efficient. So there's the engine. Nothing too crazy going on here. No engine cover or anything, just an honest looking engine bay. And that's that. That's the way Honda does it. So this is the A-Spec with tech. It's the top trim. You can have a regular A-Spec, but the tech package gets you the adaptive dampers, the 16-speaker ELS sound system, and some other things that we'll have down in the description. But all in all, this one as spec today is about 40 grand. So it's getting into that kind of upper echelon of luxurious compact cars, but it's really just a nice overall experience. I especially love that it's a liftback. It's made it nice for transporting all of my luggage this week. You can see the back is dirty. I've been taking things in and out of this, but my suitcase and backpack fit just perfectly in this. And again, I'll have my road trip video linked in the description so you guys can go check that out if you want to see some more living with impressions. We started that video in Michigan and ended it in California. It was a pretty cool one, so check that out if you haven't already. Under the trunk floor, no spare, but we do have a goop kit, tire inflator, and all this stuff, and I suspect there's a little place down there to thread in a spare tire if you would like to. The only downside with this is you have to lift things up and over because this is a liftback design. It's not a hatchback, so you still have kind of that rear bumper that goes up. But you've got two handles here to shut this. It's pretty light and it shuts easily. We'll check out the back seat here. This has the orchid interior, so it's quite bright. And the front seats have some new trimmings for 26, which we'll show you once we get up there. But in the back, it's all still the same, and it's an Integra, which is based off the Civic, which means we have plenty of room. This is currently in its comfort access position, but sat behind myself at 5'11", I'm doing just fine. The only place where the Integra falls a little short is in the headroom department, and that's because of the shape of the roofline. But legroom is just about identical to a 11th gen Honda Civic, or an 11th gen Honda Civic, excuse me. I always get those mixed up in Jeremy Clarkson's honor. But you've got little tiny indents here in the back seat. But with a camera on my face, I do have to slouch a little. So I'd say if you're over 6'1", 6'2", it might be a little bit tight back here. Fold down armrest with some cup holders, and you've got 2 USB-C ports, no climate vents, which is a bit of a bummer for 40 grand. I would maybe like to see that. I don't want a whole climate panel, but at least give me some vents back here. Important for if you have children or pets maybe in the back seat. You want them to get plenty of airflow. Let's jump up into the front. I do like the way they've trimmed out these rear door panels. I don't know if they perfectly match the fronts. They get pretty dang close. The only thing you don't get on the back are the fancy silver ELS speaker grills, but the actual trimming of the orchid on the door panels does match. And sometimes Honda isn't super great with that. Obviously, they put more effort into an Acura product, but it's cool to see this here with this trimming. Now, I mentioned this ELS Studio 3D sound system. This is 16 speakers in this car, and we'll do a test in today's video so you can have a listen for yourself. But I love all of the care that they put into this. And Acura, you know, they've always been about sound systems, so it's cool that they bring this into their entry-level model, the Integra. Now, I mentioned these seats have been retrimmed for 26, and they've just added this little bit of blue. We first saw this in the ADX, which is a car that I didn't really care for that much, so I appreciate these blue trimmings a little bit more in the Integra. They don't perfectly match this double apex blue exterior, but you know, you get the idea. A little bit of extra blue, some extra spice. We get a moonroof here. Let's open that shade to get some extra light. It is just about full sun today in Calabasas. I love the dramatic intro when you get in this thing. You can see that comfort access there bringing me up to my driving position. 2 memory seats in this. And I've also got my individual mode all set up, which we'll go through in just a second. But up front, you know, this is just normal Integra stuff. They haven't changed a whole lot from the seat looking forward. Most notable change is this new dashboard trim, which you can make very unpleasant noises with your fingernails if you'd like. And now this big infotainment screen is standard across the line. So even if you get the base model for 34 grand, you still get this with the wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, all that stuff. Now I've got my individual mode here set up for engine in normal, steering, suspension, and gauge cluster in comfort, and I've got my idle stop disabled, so auto stop start does not interfere. I don't love auto stop start in a manual. I don't know what it is. I'm just kind of a boomer in that way. I don't want the car to shut off. But I found the engine programming to be the most suitable for daily driving in normal. You can obviously put this in comfort or sport if you would like. Sport, honestly, I kind of do like that, but then it plays all the stupid artificial noise, so normal is kind of my middle ground there. But I like to have these dampers in comfort and the steering in comfort for the most comfortable, light daily driving experience. This infotainment works just fine. I've got no complaints with it. It doesn't have its own navigation, which I think is fine because sometimes that slows the screens down some, and everyone just uses CarPlay or Android Auto anyway, so I think the days of in-house navigation can end because everyone has a phone that can do this anyway. I had the passenger heated seat on last night because I had some food. I had some takeout in the passenger seat and I wanted it to stay warm, which I don't know if that actually does anything, but that was my effort in doing so. And since this is an Acura, it makes really cool noises when you switch back and forth drive modes with this little toggle selector down here by your shift knob. We have a wireless charger in front of the shifter as well, 2 cup holders that are pretty deep, so they probably fit Emily's big dumb cup. Deep center console as well, and this is obviously finished in orchid to match the rest of the interior. We'll kind of talk about ergonomics while we're on the road, but I think that's probably good to start heading to our first stop. Let's show you the reverse camera here. Only bummer with this Integra is you don't get a 360 camera. And this was made more apparent to me this week because I was also driving the Nissan Sentra back at home. So that car was about 10 grand cheaper than this, and it had a 360 camera, and honestly, a higher quality backup camera too. So it would be nice to see Acura put a 360 camera in this for the next revision, or just maybe offer it for 2027. But you guys are gonna laugh at me. Our first stop today is actually gonna be Albertsons, because I found out that the grocery store directly across the street from my hotel has a Pokemon vending machine, so I want to go see if I can rip some packs. I haven't ripped any packs since I've been in California this week. So we're gonna go check this Pokemon vending machine real quick. It's just here around the corner, and then I want to top off the fuel tank in this too. There are a couple of gas stations here we can do that at. And then we will make our way into Malibu. Takeoffs with this Integra, as I said in my initial road trip video, there is a little bit of a learning curve to it, and I think it's just the way that they've kind of tuned this 1.5 liter. Auto rev match will put you into first. I'm a big fan of that. So it's actually beneficial to rev this a little bit higher on your takeoffs, which I'm not usually the biggest fan of. But it's just the way you got to do it with this. All right, let's get this pulled right behind this shopping cart here. It looks like people don't return their carts in California either. A little bit of a delayed reaction from our front parking sensors there, telling me that there is a cart. But hey, this gives us an opportunity to show you what this looks like in a parking spot. What are we next to here? An S10? Hello. There you go. Man doing the Lord's work there. I was about to take that in, but there you go. He's doing it for me. But there you go. Perfectly sized for an parking spot. All right, I'm going to go try to find some Pokemon, and then we'll actually kind of get on with it with this Integra video. Walking back up to the Integra, as you guys saw from the B-roll, I got a couple of packs. We do have proxy key not on the rear, but we do at least have it on the front, and it's actually a little bit toasty in this cabin, so I'm going to fire this up real quick. All right, let's go actually drive the car now. Into reverse. Going to find a fuel station just to top this up, because I'm going to be driving this around quite a bit more, and I just figured while I have time, why not put some more fuel in this? Overall inputs on this car are super nice. You know, it's easy to get this thing around. The steering is pretty light, especially when you have it in comfort mode, and once you get past the little bit of a learning curve that this has when you're taking off, it's really a joy to drive. This shifter is fantastic. The clutch is pretty light, but it does have a distinguishable enough grab point to where you're not going to be stalling this thing. If you're somebody that's new to driving manual, I think you'll have an okay time learning with the Integra. Test for ground clearance. Been doing that a lot this week. And of course, okay, I've got this on the driver's side. Usually Japanese cars are this way. Let Haas go around here. He has not looked back. And we'll go to the end so we're not blocking anybody in. See if I have enough room to open my door next to that post. All right, let's see. This is probably only going to take a few gallons because it's already got about 3/4 in it. But we'll see. Okay, I don't think you... So there's no popper inside, and there's also no fuel cap. Now this says 87 minimum. I'm going to put 91 in it because I just feel better about that with this engine. The gas pumps in California are so funny because they have these little guys on here that seal them up. And then to keep them going, the little mechanism is different here too. Completely different than what we have in Michigan. There you go, 20 bucks, 4 gallons. Geez, how much was that? $5.25. Alrighty, I didn't even pay attention. Okay, close this guy back up. All right, let's finally get this show on the road and make our way to Kith, Malibu. I'm very excited. Cool Land Cruiser coming in. I love the black and yellow California plates that they do. Okay, now it's as simple as a 9-mile drive down this scenic little road. And that's it. But this is one of those cars that just adds a little bit of spice to your morning commute. It makes it a little bit more fun, wakes you up a little bit, and I would say puts you in a better mood because you're able to engage with this car some. While I've been driving this, I've been thinking about how to classify it, and I really don't think I would call this a hot compact in the same way that I would the Civic Si, even though it has the same powertrain. And the hot compact really is more the Civic Type R and the Integra Type S anyway, but this is set up more in the way to be comfortable. It's got the nice adaptive dampers, it's got all of the different steering customization, it's got leather seats that are very well bolstered and adjustable, and I just enjoy it for its luxury features more so than I do driving it at the ragged edge. It's just got an all-season tire, which I meant to show you in the walk around, but it's a Continental. It's got 18-inch wheels, which are also new for 2026, by the way. But I think where this car really stands out is in its daily drivability, which is also why I wanted to have it. That's why I chose it. Charlie texted me months ago because I've had this trip to California planned for quite a while, and Charlie texted me. He's like, hey, what do you want to drive while you're in California? And I initially had chosen actually the new Honda Prelude because I haven't driven that yet, and I was actually scheduled into the Honda Prelude, but it got canceled and had to go somewhere else. So I thought, what's the next best thing from Honda? Because I did want a Honda. And well, this is what we landed on. I said, either get me an Integra Type S or an Integra A-Spec, and this is where we are. And I'm happy that I got the A-Spec because this car, it better represents kind of the everyman's Integra, because even the base model has this powertrain. Granted, the base model is only a CVT. You have to get the A-Spec if you want to get the 6-speed manual and limited slip diff. But you can have a very similar version of this car for just over 30 grand. So it's worth showing off, in my opinion. I love being out in this area in California too, because there's all these little scenic pull-offs you can go to. I think we're actually going to use one of these scenic pull-offs here in a second because I want to have the road to myself. So we'll pause and wait for some traffic to go by. But just while we're actually in traffic, let's talk about ride quality here. Now, these dampers, they're firm, but don't think firm crashy. Let's maybe try out sport mode, shall we? You guys can hear this artificial noise that the Integra makes. But automatic rev matching, that works well. One small bummer is you do have some of that rev hang that you guys just saw, and it's more apparent towards the top of the rev range. Even with these dampers in sport, though, they do a good job soaking up some of these imperfections. Check this Unimog out. I want to know who lives there. They've got some cool stuff. Now, these are kind of some longer sweeping sections of Malibu Canyon where a car like this, not really what you want. You know, you kind of want something more like a Porsche GT3 or something for these long straights, but a car like this is going to be nice in the really tight turns and things where you can't really open fast cars up that much. So the 200 horsepower really serves you well. And my two favorite types of cars to drive on canyon roads are either EVs, because you can use the regen braking to go downhill, or manual cars, because it's easy to use your engine braking here. But it's fun to go through the 6-speed. The shifter is just wonderful. I love how small Honda and Acura make their shift knobs. Ah, dang it. Caught everybody right before the good section. Flashing gauge cluster when you approach limiter. That's pretty cool. Oh, tunnel. Okay, this doesn't really make a ton of noise, but we have to try anyway. I already went through this tunnel on my way to Ojai the other day, but let me give you guys a taste of it here. I always love the tunnels in canyon roads. Makes you feel interdimensional. Sometimes even when you have the traffic in front of you, you know. I was gonna say you can still have fun, but this guy's pushing it a little bit. He's only going 30. I think that's like an Uber Black though. I'll just wait and like maybe mob with this Fiat 500 to Barth. Because this guy's just doing the exact same thing as me. It's okay, I think we've got enough of a gap here. Oh, look at that Ferrari! You see the coolest things up in the canyons in California. Got some road work. I'll chill it out a little bit. Anyway, you guys get the idea. You know, this is a car that is, for the most part, going to be comfortable for you to drive day to day, but if the opportunity arises, you can stick it into sport mode, you can downshift, you can have some very fun gear changes and runs up to 6,500 RPM, and it really is a good time. Now, this is not this car's sole purpose, but the fact that it can do it, and it can do it pretty well, is what I like so much. Again, not the fastest thing in the world. It weighs just around 3,000 pounds, a little bit over, and it's got 200 horsepower. So you can assume, right? It's not gonna blow your face off. It's not really gonna win many drag races. But I think it's a good power level to just kind of do this sort of thing, to have some fun maybe from light to light. And I'm the biggest advocate ever for slow car fast. I think it's the much more fun option, and you don't really have to be as worried. I was driving the new Lamborghini Temerario yesterday, which has 900 horsepower. So it's 4.5 times, no, yeah. So it's 4.5 times what this car has. And I wasn't having as much fun because I was constantly worried about there being an officer, or just like the fact that one wrong move in a car like that and you die, you literally die. So that's why I love things like the Integra, because they're still fun, but they're not so fast that you have to be worried. And not to mention, you've got the back seat, you've got the lift back design in this, so you can take things and people places. Really is kind of just the do-it-all car. And it's got a lovely sound system, which I think we'll test actually after we stop at Kith, because I want to end this on the PCH, because the PCH is just always what I dream about in the winter in Michigan, when I'm like craving some sunshine and some waves and things. I'm like, oh, I just wish I was on the PCH. steering ratio in this car is pretty good too. I think it's quick enough. Give you a little bit of an idea of that, you can see. And the only things that ever really happen with the Integra that are a little bit of a buzzkill to your experience are if you have kind of a sloppy shift because of the rev hang, which I definitely had a couple. I know, I'm not afraid to admit it. And then the takeoffs sometimes, they just aren't the best. So I think if you just got a tune on this, it probably would solve most of that, because this is all just tuned to be efficient. You can see here the last 457 miles, I've done 34.4 mpg. But over the last 151, I've done 37.4. That was mostly highway. But still, it's beaten its EPA estimate there by an mpg and a half. And that was after we just did all that bit too. I think it was actually closer to 39 last night. But we've ruined it slightly today. Overall quietness with this car, you get a little bit of NVH when you're on the highway, but this 1.5 liter is super quiet, which you could look at as a good thing or a bad thing depending on what you want to be using this Integra for most of the time. But I think its most important purpose is being cozy, and the 1.5 liter gives you a bit more of a luxurious 4-cylinder experience, if that makes sense. I mean, you're never going to have the most luxurious 4-cylinder ever, but one that's buzzy and annoying, you never want to hear that. And I think they've done a really good job setting this up, minus the rev hang and things. But from an audible standpoint, it's quite good. Okay, is this Kith? Wow, look at this building. Super cool. Wow, that is absolutely stunning. And there's a GT3 RS here as well. I'm just gonna take this end spot. Why not? No parking 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. Well, it's not either of those times right now, so. And I do wish I had a front camera so I could check my work with the parking, because I am scared about scraping. You know, they made the front bumper a little bit lower, adding these little, not canards, but you know, these little bits of trim on the end. So, oh, I've got loads of room here, but I think I'm far enough in the spot, honestly, to where I don't need to adjust it any. Oh, look at that gold Kith sign. I should have brought my G-Wagon or my R1T or my GT3 RS. What was I thinking of? I do think this car can blend in a way, though, to where you'd never really be embarrassed valeting this somewhere. Let me know if you guys agree. Also get that really cool outro. Acura likes to make your entry and exit very dramatic. All right, well, I'm going to go do some shopping, which I have not done yet since I've been in California, and I usually always do, but we'll see if I find anything in there. I don't have much room in my suitcase, so I'll have to be careful. But then we'll jump back in and we'll end this video on the PCH. Walking back up, not to a GT3 RS, but back to my trusty little Integra. I completely forgot about Kith treats, or well, I didn't forget about it, but I hadn't considered it today, so I got my classic here that I've been getting in West Hollywood for the past couple of years when I come out here, and I also bought something else. So let's put these couple of things in the car and let's go over to the PCH and go finish out our drive next to the beach. Why not? I had to test out these cup holders because I want to see if it's going to be uncomfortable to shift this. But I think these are low down enough to where I shouldn't be hitting my straw, but I guess we'll find out. Oh, also, I just sneezed, so forgive my weird sounding voice. I'm going to try and go without setting a destination to go over to the PCH. I think I just have to go that way and then take a right, and I think it will just spit me out there. And also, let's get a sound system test queued up. All right, let's get out of here. Parking brake will automatically disengage, which I like, which means you can use it for hill starts and things, but we do also have brake hold in this if that's what you prefer. You do have to put this into individual mode every time. It doesn't remember between key cycles. There may be a way to tune that into the system, but I have not found a way to make this start up in individual. But I have found that it will start up in comfort if that's what you've last left the car in. So interesting. Just gonna wash my windshield real quick too. Cool thing about the Integra is the washer fluid is actually in the wipers. It's cool, but also not, because you can never tell how much fluid you're putting on, so you have to just judge it off of the audible kind of noise of the little motor that spits out the fluid, but you can't actually see how much is on the windshield until it's already being wiped. So if you're trying to preserve like the cleanliness of the car, not the best thing, but it's kind of a cool little party trick, like a Mercedes-Benz. Here we are on the PCH. Lots of seagulls, lots of palm trees, and lots of water. And lots of classic Mercedeses. Look at this, it's a W126 with a surfboard on the top. Oh man. I am just the happiest person ever when I'm car spotting in California. You don't see this stuff in Michigan. It's just like a completely different world out here when it comes to what people daily drive. I mean, you'll see like old Volkswagen vans, you'll see W126s with surfboards on the top, you'll see random like 50s and 60s cars driving around that look like the owners drive them daily, and it's just something you'd never really experience in Michigan. So it's pretty special from a car person's standpoint, you know, apart from the beautiful weather and the sand and the ocean and stuff. Sometimes I like seeing a 1950 Mercury, you know? Okay, there's an LS400 over there, street parked. That's a pretty rough LS400. Anyway, though, let's end this out with a sound system test, and then we'll give you some final thoughts, and then that'll be it for me today with the Integra. Physical volume knob, as you can see, or you've got this little clicker on the steering wheel you can use. I've always been a fan of these ELS systems in Acuras, and this one's pretty good. It's definitely not the best in the lineup because this is the entry-level Acura, so it doesn't compete with something like the system in the MDX, but I'll say, for what it is, very crispy highs. You've got good power, but it's tight. You know, you don't hear the door panels rattling in this or anything, and you can tell that they've given their all for the segment of car here to make a very good sound system for this thing at the $40,000 price point. So that's been a bit of a day in the life here with me in California in the 2026 Acura Integra A-Spec. I really do love this car, and you know, I've said it so many times throughout this video, but it really is just kind of the perfect all-rounder hatchback. I wish I could call it a hot hatch, or I guess it's not even a hatchback, it's a liftback. But it's the nice all-round, kind of exciting compact. I guess you could call it that, an exciting compact, or an exciting liftback. If you're somebody that wants raw track performance, get a Civic Type R, get an Integra Type S. That's not really what this car is for. This is more of the casual athlete, you know, somebody that only puts their running shoes on a couple times a month. This car never puts on spikes. That's not really in its vocabulary. But you can have, what gear am I in? Third now. You can have You can have proper fun with this car, and I think that's all that really matters, that you're able to stick this into corners when you want, have some fun. But the best part about it is it's able to spice up your commute and just make life that much more interesting, I suppose. Should we end this at Aviator Nation? Why not? Pull this right up to the fence that is also double apex blue, as you can see. I've given you guys lots of looks at this car, but we'll give you one more just to kind of properly end this in Topher Drives fashion here. There you go. That's been the 26 Acura Integra A-Spec. Properly lived with this week. I feel like the dirt on here could probably tell some stories. Charlie was driving this yesterday, leading us, the Topher and I, in the GT3 and the Temerario. So it's been hustled, it's been commuted, it's been road tripped, all this stuff, and I'm actually going to keep driving it for the next few days too. So if you have any questions on this, if I've left anything out, please let me know. But that's going to do it for me today in the new Integra A-Spec. We'll talk to you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care.